because there's a few different things to talk about. I don't know how long I'll be ranting, but it's good to talk about some things. Hi, everybody. This is Charles Hoskinson broadcasting live from warm, sunny Colorado. Always warm, always sunny, sometimes Colorado. Today is February 5th, 2022. I am back home. Home is where the heart is. God, it's good to be home. Unfortunately, I was forced to quarantine for a bit, so I had to go off site. But I finally got to be back home. Don't expose anybody to the Rona. I feel a lot better, feeling good. I had the Omicron. That's something everybody in the entire world is going to catch at some point. It's really hard not to catch something with an O of, with a R naught of 7. It spreads like wildfire. Anyway, so I decided to do a video. I titled it "A Bit of Everything" because there's a few different things to talk about. I don't know how long I'll be ranting, but it's good to talk about some things. So, as promised, there was an event that happened in the Cardano ecosystem that, for some reason, people keep trying to drag me into. And I said, I have nothing to do with it. So these guys are just going to have to figure this shit out for themselves. And that was the Sunday swap starter issue. Well, it looks like Card Starter filed a lawsuit, and it's 38 pages, and they have law firm and all these people. And now that it's ongoing litigation, there's really no point commenting about it. Litigation is the failure of negotiation. Usually you go mediation, try to talk out your differences, see if you can come to a win-win. That doesn't work. You try perhaps some other form of dispute resolution. When you actually go to the lawsuit phase, it's a complete breakdown of the relationship. to a point where you're handing over your entire fate to a judge or jury or both, hoping that you can get better outcome than you could with the other party. And I guess they're asking now for even more than what they were promised. 250 million or something like that. So, the filing stands for itself. And, they're alleging fraud, a promissory estoppel Unfortunately, I was forced to quarantine for a bit, so I had to go off site. But I finally got to be back home. Don't expose anybody to the Rona. I feel a lot better, feeling good. I had the Omicron. That's something everybody in the entire world is going to catch at some point. It's really hard not to catch something with an O of with a R naught of 7. It spreads like wildfire. Anyway, so I decided to do a video. I titled it "A Bit of Everything" because there's a few different things to talk about. And I don't know how long I'll be ranting, but it's good to talk about some things. So, as promised, there was an event that happened in the Cardano ecosystem that, for some reason, people keep trying to drag me into. And I said I have nothing to do with it. So these guys are just going to have to figure this shit out for themselves. And that was the Sunday Swap starter issue. Well, it looks like Card Starter filed a lawsuit, and it's 38 pages, and they have law firm and all these people. And now that it's ongoing litigation, there's really no point commenting about it. Litigation is the failure of negotiation. Usually, you go mediation, try to talk out your differences, see if you can come to a win-win. That doesn't work. You try perhaps some other form of dispute resolution. When you actually go to the lawsuit phase, it's a complete breakdown of the relationship to a point where you're handing over your entire fate to a judge or jury or both, hoping that you can get better outcome than you could with the other party. And I guess they're asking now for even more than what they were promised, 250 million or something like that. So, the filing stands for itself. And they're alleging fraud, a promissory estoppel situation, and that there was some sort of implied deal. So, lawsuits are lawsuits. There's a discovery process. Stuff can be subpoenaed. There are all kinds of things that can be dragged into the process. And so now that's going to go on for a while, probably be horrendously expensive. There'll probably be a countersuit and all kinds of things. And these things could take months to years to fully litigate. It's quite unfortunate that that's where Card's at and Sunday's at in the relationship, that apparently spending months to years to solve a problem is a better idea than trying mediation or something else. But, you know, That's the prerogative of the principals there, and where that relationship is at. And it's a reminder for young entrepreneurs in general, taking a step back in abstraction about the nature of commercial arrangements and expectation management. When people are very young, they negotiate in a very organic way. They tend to, just say, "Hey, how about this?" or "How about this?" And they do it over Slack or Telegram or Reddit or Twitter. I remember when I got started in this industry, I negotiated a lot of stuff over Bitcoin Talk and private messages back and forth. That's actually how Invictus Innovations got started, my first company in this industry. I had a thread called Project Invictus, and the very first person to reply to it was Dan Larimer under the handle Bytemaster. When I was trying to dream up what could make Bitcoin invincible or crypto invincible. So anyway, you tend not to be so careful, because you don't have any experience. You don't really understand the value of legal agreements or, the value of expectation management, and the value of how negotiations are supposed to be done. So there's a teachable moment for the entire Cardano ecosystem for all these 230 plus dApps that are now building to take a step back and make sure that they have proper legal hygiene. Do you have God's eye view on all of the commercial arrangements and understandings and deals and negotiations that are signed, sealed, and in flight? And do you have the right legal operating system to be able to handle all those? For your ventures, do you have founders agreements? Do you have the proper non-disclosure agreements? Does everybody understand their commercial realities? Have they written to confirm that? Have you gotten confirmation that your understanding of the deal is their understanding of the deal, and that's the only part of the deal? That's why an entire clause exists. And also the communities that you're all building, do those communities fully appreciate and understand the nature and realities of the deal and the representations that have been made? If you can't answer that with absolute 100%, yes, we believe so, you got work to do. Now, no one's perfect, especially young ventures, but this is a space where unfortunately young ventures are given millions to tens of millions of dollars, in some cases hundreds of millions of dollars, without a lot of adults in the room or venture capital oversight. And the old people who start getting gray in their beard. And I used to be one of the young people, but I'm starting to feel like one of the old people. We tend to remind people the value to these things, and sometimes they take it and sometimes they don't. So there's certainly a teachable moment for everybody who's building something on Cardano. Anything that has value, anything that could have value in the future, could potentially be a spot for litigation or discussion. Never forget that. And everybody you think is your friend is on the same terms as you. They can turn very quickly when real money's at stake. I recall when we started Ethereum back in January 2014, all the Ethereum founders got together in Miami, and we all thought we were the best of friends. 6 months later, we weren't, because it went from, "Hey, we're all doing a cool open source project. Let's go chill in Miami," to there are millions of dollars at stake, huge wealth transfer, titles to give out, kind of things like that. So oral agreements and understandings and these things, they all evaporated, and they went in different directions. And there's plenty of books written about that history, and it was pretty messy. And there probably should have been litigation, but water under the bridge. We all did pretty well, but it could have just as well gone the other direction, especially if Ethereum didn't deliver. People forget that there was a time when Ethereum only had $500,000 left in the bank, and they were precariously close to not being able to deliver the product up to the expectations of other people. Remember that. So anyway, that's that. No more to comment on my side because litigation's ongoing and we're not a party to it. We have no involvement in it, but it's senseless to opine and comment and think about these things because stuff will come out, and I'm as much of a spectator as you guys are, and we'll see what the truth of the matter is through the discovery process and through the litigation process. Lots of things will be brought to the court, and we'll see what these guys do. All right, so that tables that. Don't add me to tweets anymore. Don't ask me to comment on anymore. At this point as much as I do. There's nothing more to say. Let's talk about Joe Rogan. Many of you know that I'm a big fan of the Joe Rogan podcast because of what it is. There are so few media that we have that somebody makes it a point to bring somebody on and just let them discuss whatever the hell they happen to be an expert in. You can be a UFO guy. You can be a world famous scientist. You can be a domain expert in some really cool new thing like anti-aging. Or you can be a deeply controversial person like an Alex Jones type person or Alex Jones himself. What was really amazing about the Rogan podcast is that Rogan made a policy just to let them talk and share who they are with the world. Now, there was no great patronage here where some media empire, Rupert Murdoch or something like that, showed up and said, we're going to make this guy a star. It was just people talking. In an age where institutions lack legitimacy and people are in desperate need for truth and for candor, this was a refreshing format that led to the rise of the Lex Friedman podcast. It led to the rise of the intellectual dark web, all of these things. Joe made a decision to get in front of this bullet train of COVID that's been going on. The age of COVID is not an age of truth. We all know that. It's not an age of science. It's not an age of reason. It's an age where you're told to accept things that are just not materially true. And we all know it. But we're not really allowed to have a conversation about it because it can promote vaccine hesitancy or whatever the hell people want to throw at you. The reality is that private companies are making tens of billions of dollars off of the misery and suffering of the lockdowns that are occurring. Johns Hopkins recently released a report saying that the reduction in mortality from all this lockdown culture is about 0.2%. We're not allowed to really think about that or talk about that. A public health campaign to reduce obesity probably would be more effective than what the lockdowns have done for the reduction of mortality. And we've witnessed over the last 24 months the largest wealth transfer in the history of the world between the poor to the rich. That's a fact. Mandates, especially for vaccines, mean that private companies who have no risk and didn't have to pay to build the products that they build are guaranteed to make tens of billions of dollars. And if we don't take them, then we're now social pariahs. So we're not allowed, apparently, to have a dialogue about that. And if anybody tries to have a dialogue about that, they're punished. The statements that Rogan made didn't make them yesterday. They occurred over a 2-decade period. 100 million people in the audience. No one seemed to have any issue. No one did any collages or things until after started commenting on things that make very powerful people tens of billions of dollars.
Come on the live chat.
Surge of censorship and deplatforming.
Please come in the
come to our industry.
I'm in the live chat. The link is there.
Because there's a very real possibility that Joe could be canceled. There's a very real possibility that somebody with 11 million followers who listen to him on a regular basis could suddenly wake up without a job. And they say, well, you guys are the censorship-resistant industry. You guys are the ones who somehow find a way to get people back into the milieu of society. The reality is crypto is not ready for social media. There are many challenges. And next week, I'll probably do some whiteboard videos and take you guys through some of the things that have to be solved if crypto actually has something to say to replace Twitter or Facebook or be a platform for free expression and free speech and free thought. It's not really where we're at as an industry yet. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. So unfortunately, there's no panacea here. There's no silver bullet we have to offer a guy like Joe when they continue to attack him and eventually get rid of him, because it'll come at some point somehow, scandal after scandal, or the slow heat death of losing his audience because of all the controls that have to be put on now. It makes me sad when you lose the ability to express yourself and think and have controversial ideas. Ideas can't hurt you. Ideas hurt the people in power. Ideas hurt institutions. Ideas hurt other ideas. But ideas don't hurt you. You are a free-thinking person, the person listening. You have every ability to look at each scenario and situation in its own right and use your judgment and rationality to decide what that situation and scenario means to you. And we have, as a society, to take a step back and realize that people are just making decisions for us arbitrarily about what we must put in our bodies, what we must put in our children's bodies, making decisions about the money that you work so hard for. Our national debt in the United States crossed over $30 trillion. Back when I started going to college, it was a little over 4. Wasn't too long ago. I'm not that old. Now we're 30. And we're told there's no inflation. It's transitory. I'll guess it's here, but don't worry about it. They tell you things like you'll owe nothing and be happy. More people than ever before are renting because they can't afford to buy a house. More people than ever before, even if the husband and wife, wife and wife, whatever pairing you want to put together, both have jobs, 2 jobs, 3 jobs, working full-time, overtime, gig economy, still can't pay the bills. When my grandfather got out of the Korean War on my mom's side, single, working household, married his sweetheart, had 7 kids. She didn't work. And he was still able to retire a millionaire off of a blue-collar salary because he invested wisely. That was the economy he lived in. We don't live in that economy anymore. Now, it doesn't affect me. I'm part of a special class of people. I'm very fortunate to have stumbled into it. wasn't born into it, but now that I'm there, if I just shut up and do nothing, the rest of my life can make double-digit returns and basically live a life of plenty. I don't have a lot of economic problems anymore. The way that the economy is set up, people like me, we don't have issues. And that's at your expense. Because all those investments I'm allowed to invest in, those giant real estate funds that are buying up all the apartment buildings and buying up all the houses and other things that they rent to you, they benefit me. They don't benefit you guys. There is nothing more immoral and disgusting than the progression of this economy and the way the wealth transfer has happened over the last 24 months. The only way we get out of this is to discuss it. But now our ability to think and discuss, to be rational human beings, express ideas, is being taken from us systematically, piece by piece. Think about it. The point of the cryptocurrency space, the core of it are three things. One is this idea of decentralization. Do you really know what that means? We don't have it. Moxie's article is a great one, the one I read off my last video to you guys, because Moxie's article at its core was saying you're sold a false bill of goods because some people want money. But the heart of the industry, decentralization, has yet to be fully achieved. A lot of people are working towards it and working for it, and there's a lot of great ideas about it. We're starting to figure out how to measure it, but at the end of the day, it's an elusive thing. There's a lot more to do. To get to true decentralization. Second is this concept of inclusive accountability. Something so simple. And you live in a controlled society when people take it from you. Inclusive accountability is just your ability to verify things yourself that people tell you. So in Bitcoin, Cardano, Ethereum, any real cryptocurrency, if I send you a transaction, I send you some ADA, you boot up your Daedalus, you have everything you need to check and verify that ADA exists and it hasn't been double spent. That can also be used for voting systems. So when you vote, wouldn't it be nice to be able to check and make sure your vote was actually recorded and recorded the way that you voted instead of just taking somebody's word for it? Any society that tries to take your ability to inclusively verify something, a fact, an event, a biological reality, whatever it is, to take your ability and say you don't have the right or means to check trust us. There's something fundamentally wrong. I posted a video from the State Department where they made some allegations against Russia. And a journalist very rightfully stepped up and said, well, where's the evidence? And he said, well, I just told you. I said, well, no, that's an allegation, but where's the evidence behind it? And they played a game of semantics for 5 minutes. It's an incredible back and forth. There's no inclusive accountability and an assertion. And the third thing is governance. Your ability to decide, your ability to navigate a complex issue and vote, make a decision, to work with others and converge to a consensus about where do we go from here. This is the core of our industry: decentralization, inclusive accountability, and decentralized governance. And all of those things should be present in every institution we rebuild. We talk a lot about systematic problems in institutions. Okay, yeah, there's certainly many. But it's not a solution to rebuild them by building even more centralized institutions and just changing the leaders and hoping the new sets of people are going to be more virtuous than the rest. No one is more virtuous. I'm sorry. If you have a virtue-based government where you hope the people in charge are honest, you're already fucked, because humans are pretty bad people. Especially when they have absolute power and limited accountability. They become really bad really quickly. That's why we're in the situation we're in. You have to rebuild the institutions based upon foundations that are resilient and decentralized. They have enduring principles. You can check and verify the things that they tell you and know with certainty that they're not lying to you, and that you have a guaranteed voice and vote, and the protocol will run as intended. Now, what should we build? The only way we can get there is by having debates, the free flow of ideas. experimentation. And by the way, when you have the free flow of ideas and debates and experimentation, you get things wrong. If your standard is anytime someone says something wrong or gets something wrong, that person must be destroyed, canceled, removed from society, the only experimentation you get is safe experimentation. You don't get to go to the moon. You get to go climb a hill and look at the moon. That's the difference. If you want to go to the moon, you got to break some eggs, and you're going to make some mistakes, and you're going to admit some people who are a little crazy, a little out there. And that's okay. Because at the end of the day, what are the consequences of those mistakes? If they're ideas and thoughts, they don't hurt you. If they're words, they don't hurt you. It's actions, it's execution, it's institutionalization. That's what hurts you. Because those are the people that get the guns. Those are the people that can put you in handcuffs. Those are the people who get to decide what's in your wallet. Those are the people who get to decide whether you get to participate or not. Those are the people who get to decide your value as a human being. That's the difference. And I'm getting real tired of living in a society where I'm told to live and accept contradictions and lies, and told to live and accept that this is as good as it gets and it's only going to get worse from here. I've been to over 70 countries. I've shook hands with dictators. I've shook hands with democratically elected presidents, religious leaders, other billionaires, very powerful people. I've also seen the poorest people, the weakest people. I've seen people who have nothing, who literally live in mud huts. I've seen the entire gamut and spectrum. The one common thread amongst all of them is they're human beings, and they have equal dignity and equal value. That's the common thread amongst all of them. And they deserve to all live in a world where they don't get lied to. They deserve to all live in a world that gets better over time, not worse. And they deserve to all live in a world where their dignity as people, as humans, is respected. I don't think that's asking too much, because we want that for ourselves. And if we demand it for us, we must be prepared to give it to them. And if our systems don't do that, we all must work together to change our systems to something else. It's just that simple. And that's my life's mission in a nutshell. That's why we build the products we build. That's why we think the way we think. That's why we do peer-reviewed research, because it's inclusive. It's slow and methodical, but at the same time, it leaves no one behind. It's why we focus on decentralization and inclusive accountability and governance. Because in solving those things, we don't leave anybody behind. And every step of the way, you can check the work. Every step of the way, the work is permanent and doesn't regress and doesn't require an actor to keep pushing the boulder up the hill and getting it done. There's always a supply of people to continue the progress. That's the world I'd like to live in. And it hurts me deeply when I see that the institutions we need to carry on this movement are being attacked systematically. I've become increasingly more philosophical and political throughout the years. When I first started in this business, I said if I focus on the technology only and the engineering and the protocol design, the rest is going to figure its way out. And while it's very important stuff, and I do spend 40, 50, 60 hours a week, every week for the last 8 years thinking about these things, the reality is that the much more important work is the why. It is the philosophy. Because at the end of the day, this technology is neutral. These protocols are neutral. Whether they're used for great good or great evil depends upon the people using them, their intent, and the institutions that are built from them. Just like you can blend Web3 with Web2 in the worst possible ways, you can blend it in the best possible ways. It just depends on how you build things and the intent behind how you build them and the use behind how you build them. And we are at a precipice as a society. And we have to decide where we want to go. I understand many of you listening have a lot of anger. There are facts and circumstances in your lives and your backgrounds that probably justify thinking that everything in the world is deeply unfair. And you're being lectured to by a person who has so much. And it's not solace to say, well, suck it up, we'll figure it out. I can't offer you flowery, pretty words, and I can't offer you quick solutions to the problems in your life and the problems of society around you. All I can do is say that we have to be real with each other and have a common understanding of how we got here. Many people will sell you a sack of shit. They'll tell you if you just vote for me or if you just believe in this philosophy, you just say these words or you're part of this group or you consent to Y, then suddenly it'll all just get better and everything's going to be beautiful. No, unfortunately, we are in a position where we're going to have to rebuild everything. A new world. And all I can offer you is a shovel. and tell you that you're going to have to build it with us. And you can make the decision whether to do that or not. You can make the decision whether to pursue it or not. Or you can cynically believe you don't have a voice and you have no say and consent to giving away what little power you actually do have to somebody else who will gladly take it from you and use it to make your life even worse than it is, because you'll also lose your freedom. Anybody who's on the side of robbing you of your ability to verify reality, limiting your ability to think, limiting your ability to have conversations with people or listen to other people for ideas are so damaging that the mere hearing of them is destructive to society. Anyone who's on that side is the enemy, because what they stand for is deciding that some small group of people you've never met, you will never meet, most likely, who are not elected and stay in power for life, basically get to decide that for your life. And at any time, they can decide it any way, fair or otherwise. That's not a free society. It's not a society built on liberty. It's a society built on the arc of human history, which for the most of human history has been totalitarian and filled with kings and dictators, popes with absolute power who speak only accountable to God. We've grown beyond that. We don't have to live that way. You don't have to live that way. And if we want a better world, let's be in charge of our own money. If we want a better world, let's be in charge of our own democracy. If we want a better world, let's make sure that we can think and speak. Simple stuff. And that's how I'm going to spend my world and my time until either we win or I too will be on the receiving end of all of this and you won't hear from me anymore, because I'll just be taken down from all these platforms and there'll be none to replace them. I guess I'll just go and live on my ranch with my bison. Try to get out of history's way. Choices is yours as much as it is mine. And I've already made it. And I'm here and going to keep being here and keep fighting. I've always been an optimist. I don't think cynicism will get you anywhere. And honestly, I think we're winning. Because at the end of the day, we have truth and justice and it's just the moral argument on our side. Who can argue against freedom? Who can argue against dignity? Who can argue against equality? Who can argue against humans treating each other with respect? Who wants to argue for fear and censorship and control and domination and all these things? Who wants to fight for those things? Only the people who benefit from them. And that's becoming fewer and fewer and fewer. So more and more are getting very tired with the status quo. So that's the real truth and the meaning of what's happening right now with Spotify and Joe, and what's happening right now and this whole miasma of misinformation and other things that are spreading. That's the reality of it. You can choose to accept it or not. It's up to you. Always has been, even though you're told it's not. And that's the reality of our industry as a whole. The philosophical heart of it, why we do what we do, and who we are. And hopefully it'll sort its way out. So anyway, thanks for listening, everybody. Hope this was helpful. Good to be home. See you soon. Cheers.
Hey, good evening. The Granny Bobby Bob crypto chat. That was Mr. Charles Hoskinson. He's a very important person in the crypto space if you haven't heard of him. He is the co-founder of Ethereum with the gentleman named why did I just draw a blank? I will get back to his name. But he was partners with other people. They did the Ethereum and Vitalik. Vitalik is the developer of Ethereum. It was him and Charles Hoskinson. They had a falling out and they went their separate ways. So Mr. Charles Hoskinson is doing Cardano and he's been in the project for very many years. He's trying to perfect the whole system and it's really a promising long-term investment and it's probably going to be around for the rest of our lives. Cardano, ADA, just like I feel Ethereum will be around. Ethereum is not actually the coin is Ether. Ethereum is the blockchain. I feel Bitcoin will be around just because it's the grandfather of crypto. Doesn't have utility. It don't have a person to show the face. There's a mystery behind the developer. Uh, Satoshi, where is Satoshi? They think he was kidnapped. It's just very mysterious. You can look up who is Satoshi. But Mr. Charles Hoskinson is the face behind Cardano. He's a developer. He is into a little bit of everything. He's so wealthy, he don't have to work, but he's doing this as part of his philanthropist journey to better the human race. He was talking about three key words, three core words to be successful in crypto, and one was governance. The other was the what do you say? Define it, the decentralized. And he also said to do all your research yourself. Don't depend on what anybody's telling you, including myself. Take the information you're hearing and do the research. Find out facts. You're investing money. You're investing basically what you're working hard for. You're investing in your family's future. Um, you guys gotta just like really sit down, pen and paper. You don't need millions to get in. The key of getting into crypto is just starting. But start with the correct projects. Don't just start with Shiba Inu and all these crazy tokens you're hearing about. Listen, the metaverse is a whole new thing right now. They have a casino in the metaverse in Decentraland. It raked in $7.5 million in 3 months. Listen, $7.5 million on a video game in 3 months? That is bananas, but this is real. And guess who's collecting those $7.5 million? Whoever owns the casino in the metaverse. Okay, this is not real where you can go in real life, but it's virtual. And unfortunately, no matter how much anybody from the old school era don't like it, it is what it is. This is the future, and this is what's going on in the world today. They launched a ice poker virtual casino in Decentraland, and whoever did it bought the land about a half a year ago, and they raked in $7.5 million just on video games in 3 months just from the traffic. Okay, so there's people sitting at home going into the metaverse and they're gambling with real money. This is bananas. A metaverse casino run by Decentral Games has made $7.5 million in revenue over the past 3 months. There's only 6,000 users logging on to gamble in the metaverse. It's only 6,000 people. Nobody even knows that it's open. Nobody even knows what crypto is. Ask 10 people if they know about Bitcoin. Maybe two of them will say they heard of it and they ignored it. So if there's only 6,000 people going in and they raked in $7.5 million, that's in a whole nother level of wealth. Like, just do the math. 6,000 people gambling, $7.5 million in 3 months. Do the math. That's a lot of money just being thrown around. It's a play. Decentraland has a play-to-earn platform that could have upwards of 1,000 players playing poker at any given time. Decentral Games founder Miles Anthony bought up some land in Decentraland. It doesn't sound like a lot of uses, but when it comes to the open metaverse, it's pretty substantial considering the main issue right now with metaverse is that they're empty. Over a year and a half ago, Decentral Games began acquiring virtual real estate in Decentraland in a bid to get in early on the trend of virtual space and virtual real estate. I myself, Crypto Granny, Bobby Bob, I've accumulated like a little more than a dozen pieces of virtual real estate in the metaverse. I actually have a building going up in Brooklyn, and after I put my building under construction, I know this sounds like gibberish to you. I've noticed a whole bunch of people, landowners, virtual land, are putting up buildings too. Eventually, we can collect rent. Eventually, we can sell our property. We can rent it out, have a business. Sony's in the metaverse. Samsung's in the metaverse. McDonald's is going to be in the metaverse. Burger King. Yes, people in the metaverse go out to eat. Um, Walmart's going to be in the metaverse. Nike's in the metaverse. Abercrombie and Fitch is in the metaverse. Gucci, Louis Vuitton, Snoop Dogg is opening up a smoke shop. I can go on and on and on and on. There's a lot to learn. This is a whole new world. I want everybody. Charles Hoskinson is the developer, and he said he's doing this for society and humanity. Well, I'm giving my time to educate people on this platform. Take my information, go do your homework, then use your best judgment on what you need to do. If you have any questions, as I always say, leave a comment in any of my old videos with a contact information. I'll get it, I'll erase it, I'll contact you, and I'll bring you on for a live. This is what I'm trying to do. There's YouTubers, content creators, there's influencers. I'm not going to even say their names. 90% of them are scamming people. 90% of them are selling a coin. 90% of them are getting paid to mention a coin. I get $0, 0 cents, not a penny. I just want to let the world know wherever you are, whatever your circumstances are, you can set yourself financially free. Some people go in, they want to make money to get a car, they do their thing, they do it right, they get their car money. They never look back at crypto. They'll say, yeah, I bought my car with, I have a tenant. He bought a $85,000 Jeep Wrangler, one of those Jeeps, beautiful truck with Bitcoin. The bad thing is he took all his earnings, didn't leave nothing else to reinvest, bought the truck, found out he was having a baby, and he's renting an apartment from me. Had he known he was having a child, because we had a discussion, he said, I would have never bought this $85,000 truck. I would have took half that money, put a down payment on the house, even if he had to move to the suburbs where it's a little cheaper than the city. And he would have had another 45,000 invested in Bitcoin. And today those 45,000, because he did this about a year ago, and Bitcoin was only 20, so I would guess he had 2.5 Bitcoins. Right now, today, he would have had his house and about $80,000 still. Now he has no money invested, and he has a truck. That's it. So these are the things that happen. Like, you set your goal. My goal is, and I will always say, I've always been okay. I've been good. I've been blessed. I thank the Lord for that. I'm a saver. I'm very generous when it comes to anyone else. But when it comes to myself, I am the cheapest person in the world. But for crypto, I'm going all in. I want to know that when I'm gone, when my husband and I are no longer here, our child will be okay. Our siblings will be okay. Our grandchildren will be okay. And their kids. And so on. My nieces and nephews, I want to take care of them. So I'm looking at the big picture. There's no other way to do this. So If you like my live and you have any questions, please like and subscribe to my channel. Share it with other people. I'm here for educational purposes. I'm here to educate myself once I have guests come on and we can have discussions. And I'm trying to warn you and teach you all what to do, not to do. I won't tell you what to buy. I'll tell you what I bought. And I will give advice happily. I will give advice, and I would love to hear from anyone who could tell me something. If you hear me doing something or saying something wrong, I invite you to join my live and we can have a discussion. That's what I'm here for. Thank you for tuning in. Like and share this video. Invest wisely, and let's all go to the moon together. Crypto Granny to the moon!